Hello everyone, welcome to Starting Out Solitary. I'm your Thursday host Michelle, and this week we will be talking about alternative forms of divination. There are a plethora of different types of divination. We've already discussed tarot, oracle, and spirit boards and Ouija boards in the last 2 weeks. But today I'm going to talk about just a couple different types of divination that you can do that are a little bit different from the ones we've already discussed. There is scrying, which you can scry into pretty much anything. You can use a bowl of water, you can use flame, you can scry into a candle flame such as this one. Some people like to, read the way the flame burns or how it dances or which way, it turns, or how it's burning sometimes can determine even, how a spell might turn out. But as far as divination, you can read the flame of the candle. And if it were, say, a pillar, or more like a taper actually, a taper candle, or even a chime candle, you could, read the wax drippings to determine what information you're trying to obtain. You can read the wax drippings and read the way the flame is burning and how the candle is, burning overall. But with water, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can, use water, and sometimes I like to drip oil into the water and read the patterns of the oil on the water. Sometimes I will use food coloring in the water first and then maybe drip some oil and use a certain type of oil depending on the questions I'm asking or the information I'm seeking will depend, on the type of oil I use in the water to scry with. You can also scry, of course, into a crystal ball. You can read the smoke either from a candle flame if it is smoking, or incense smoke. Of course, you can also scry into mirrors. There are tons of different things you can scry with, even the clouds, the sky, beach sand, that sort of thing. One other method I like to use, and you can do this with a multitude of different items, but one thing I like to do is use coffee beans. And you can do this with stones as well, but with coffee beans, you use a set number of beans, and I either use 9, 13, or 21 beans, depending on what I'm needing to know and what kind of answers I need. And they can be read a multitude of different ways as well. You can read them by putting them in your hand and meditating on your question, and say, if the majority of the beans fall with the crack side up, like if the majority of the beans fall, if this will focus, I guess not, there we go, with the crack side up, you can use that as a yes. Or if the majority of the beans are facing down, that would be a no, if you're just looking for yes and no answers. I also have in my BOS kind of like a little directory of how to read beans, and if this many is up, it means this, if this many is up or down, it means that. And I have like a whole little directory which you can either create yourself or find online, or you can use a paper or a chart kind of like this with different sections. I usually only use 4 sections, but sometimes I will use 6. And before you cast your beans, you can determine what each section will mean when you are done casting your beans. Like this section can mean definitely not. This one can mean maybe. This one can mean you can down here can be yes, maybe. You can make or place your, your energy and your intent into a board such as this to determine what answers you are looking for. So when you cast the beans, you will, and it's hard to do this with one hand, sorry guys. When you cast the beans, of course you'll hold them in your hand and, ask your question, meditate on it, however you want to do it. It's completely up to you. This is all completely, of course, customizable to what, your needs are. And then you would just, and hopefully they don't all go like that, but you know what I'm saying. You get the general idea. You can do it like that. There's so many different ways, and you can, of course, you can come up with your own and think about your own. But not only can you cast, coffee beans, regular beans, you can use stones, you can use even, dice. You can incorporate dice. Bones are a popular thing to use, or shells. Or you can use a combination of all of these things and, use all of them at once, and each different item that you will cast will have, different meanings, or, just like tarot cards, each item will have a different meaning to it depending on, how you want to create your own, if you want to create your own set, etc. Of course, then there's reading tea leaves. Some people like to, keep tea leaves in their cup, and I've heard, I've never done this, but, because I'm not really a tea drinker, but, steep your tea. The whole time you're steeping it, think of your, place your intention into it, meditate on what your question is, and, you drink the tea, and then you read or interpret the leaves that are left behind in the cup. Maybe looking for a pattern or some kind of sign or symbol. There's also, of course, you can cast, like some tumbled stones or crystals. You can have a set of maybe, 7 to 9 different tumbled stones, each one having a different meaning or a different interpretation, and you can cast those and see, what happens with those. And of course, there is always the trusty pendulum. Now, what I like to do with mine is just, sorry, I'm switching hands because this is how I use the fob, and I just hold it between my hands like so, and ask my question. I will use a flame sometimes if I need, if I feel compelled to do so. I will use a flame sometimes over, underneath the pendulum, excuse me. Oh, look at this. I also use flames to cleanse the crystal. This thing is, yeah, the heat from the flame will obviously make it spin too. But, I mean, with pendulums, you can do so much. You can ask yes or no questions. A lot of times I will hold my, have a different tumbled stone and, hold that, place my intent into that stone for, whatever specific purpose I am needing, and then I will hold the pendulum over that particular stone. And, see if I can, get some answers that way. But these are just a couple suggestions. There are so many alternative forms of divination out there that, there's bound to be something for everyone. So, anyways, I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And I hope you guys are having a great week. As always, blessed be.